What's going on, kids? So I'm a real smart cookie and basically deleted the beginning of this video. It was essentially me pulling Senor the skull out of the acetone, putting it through another whitening bath, and just all that. It was essentially the same thing that you've watched if you watched the first 3 of this series of doing the skull. So you didn't really miss much. So now we're just going to jump right back into putting everything back together. So we're going to do that now. All right, we're back. We got you in the house, so that's fun. Now is time for my least favorite part of doing taxidermy work. Putting all the teeth back in and all the rest of the finish work that goes along with it. So, we got Senor. He's all dried out. He's looking great. You can see how absolutely white that is. And actually, let me do this. I'm at my podcast station, so we might as well use all the tools. All right. So there that is now. So now is time for the fun part. We have to take the cool fun teeth, but then we also have to take all these little freaking ones and put everything back. The nice thing is, when I did this, all of the molars stayed intact. They're a little bit shaky, so I'll go through and I'll put a little glue in there and make sure they're pretty secure. But all of these teeth, along with the front teeth and the lower jaw, they came out. So we're gonna go through and put everything back in together. So again, you have small teeth like this that run along, which you can't see because of the camera angle. Once I get to work, I'm gonna angle the camera down so you're not seeing my face and seeing what I'm doing. But you have these little smaller teeth that fit in right here. And then you have these, which are the front teeth. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna put everything back in. But first what we're gonna do is we're gonna seal in the ends of the tusks. So this is your top tooth. Let's see if it's the right side. It's not the right side. Here, if we're gonna do it right, let's do it. Yeah, I was right the first time. So this is gonna be your top tooth, and this is your bottom tooth. So this is called the wetter, and this is the cutter. So what happens is, every time a pig opens and closes its mouth, these two teeth sharpen each other. As you can see, it's super smooth. I mean, it's not razor sharp, like I'm not gonna be able to cut paper with it, but if this pig was alive and decided to swipe your leg real quick, you'd have a very open wound that would probably kill you. So what we're gonna do, if you look inside, get the right angle on that, it's hollow inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some hot glue and we're just gonna fill this in. We're gonna put as much hot glue as we can in, fill everything up, because what happens is it's very brittle towards the end here. So what happens is, over time, once everything really dries out, they'll start to break. So we don't want that. So we're gonna go ahead, fill these up, both of these, and we'll go ahead and see you guys in a second. All right, so we're back. So as you can see, we filled, well, you can't really see because it's white, but whatever. So we filled all these with hot glue. And again, this is just so over time, the tooth doesn't crack and continue up the rest of the tooth. So those are all good. It doesn't need to be super pretty. And like this piece right here, you probably don't want any sticking out the top. Go ahead and pop that off. Perfect. So what we're gonna do now, we'll go ahead and set these aside, and I am going to flip this open and it is the worst jigsaw puzzle on the planet. It is slightly nostalgic sitting at this table. Before it was my podcast table, it was my taxidermy table. So there were many nights sitting at this table cursing life choices, putting teeth back in. It's the worst part of the job, hands down. But at the end, if you do it right and it looks amazing, it's completely worth it. So I'm gonna go ahead, pop you back down, and just kind of go to town on this. So hopefully we'll see you in a second. So that went a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. Again, it's only one animal, which makes life 1,000 times easier. We're not going to be gluing in at least the bottom tusks, and I'll show you why in a second. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is we'll just start going in and just tapping everything into place. I am missing one tooth, which is a bummer, but I've also learned not to cry over one tooth. So, if you are doing any taxidermy work like this, like gluing in teeth, I cannot explain to you how good the Gorilla Glue gel is. This is really nice because when you put it somewhere, it's gonna stay there because it's in a gel form, and it makes placing teeth way easier because we've all used the regular Gorilla Glue or Super Glue and it's just gone. So this makes things way easier. The easiest way I found to do this is to literally just leave it the way I have it, as is, and just start at one tooth and go around the other. Bear wanted to join the shot today, so that's Bear. He's adorable. So I'll go ahead, drop the camera again, and we'll just start tacking all these guys in. All right, so we're back. There's dogs everywhere, super glue everywhere. It's always fun. So, all the teeth are put back in. You saw me kind of go through it. What I like to do with the molars, especially where they are a little loose, especially with this gel, I just kind of run it down it like I'm running a bead of like mortar or something if I'm doing tile. And just kind of use the tip of the super glue to kind of push it around. If we get to a super weak spot where I can see where it's the root of the tooth is going down, give it a little squeeze, toss them in there, and these will all do up real quick. I didn't really touch on before I glued anything in. You'll know when the tooth is going in the right spot, at least with pigs. Bears are a little trickier because their teeth they're all screwed up. It's bad. Deer, again, kind of similar. A lot of their teeth look very, very, very similar. With pigs, if you find the spot that one tooth is in, look at that tooth and you'll find the second one and it'll go exactly in the opposite spot. So all these are glued in. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is let this sit for about half hour or so. Let everything set in. Everything's pretty set. So what we'll do after that is I'll get the polish out and we'll get him all polished up. So we'll see you guys in a second. All right, folks. So I had some poor execution. I was going to be showing you how to polish this and get it ready and just completely finish it. Well, I'm out of paintbrushes. So I'm gonna go ahead. I will pick up some tomorrow. I will post the finished product all polished on probably my TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. But there's how it looks as is. I think it looks friggin' awesome. So I am super happy with it. A cool thing about it, which is why I did not glue the bottom tusks in. So these things slide out. So you can actually put it down. You can actually slide these out to make it look bigger if you wanted to. So all of a sudden you got something looks a little bit meaner, which more than likely that's the way it'll stay because that looks pretty awesome. So again, I'm super happy how this came out. I don't think I'm gonna have any issues with the fact that I pulled it out of the acetone early. It was in there for close to 2 months. That's more than enough time. The amount of fat that was at the bottom of the bucket, I think we're pretty good. A couple things I did want to point out: buy the bottles of Gorilla Glue if you're going to be doing a lot of this taxidermy stuff, because one, they last longer, and two, they're easier to handle. Those little metal squeeze things that I had, they suck. They're a pain in the butt. You can never get the right pressure that you need. But again, when I was doing this part-time or like on the side, I had this everywhere. I looked like, what was it, Will Ferrell from the Lego movie. And if you got that reference, good for you. You're probably laughing and I appreciate it. But yeah, so definitely buy these. And what I use for the polish is I use Flooring Mop and Glow. So I have used like an aerosol spray on it, a couple different other things, and it works, but it's not great. So what this does is it actually soaks into the bone as well. So it gives it a little bit of a floral scent, which is kind of nice. But what it does is it really fills in all the pores and everything that's in the skull. And once you do 2 or 3 coats, I usually do about 2. The first one being a real down and dirty heavy coat that you kind of clean off at the end of it to make sure that everything's nice and smooth. And then the second coat being a real good finish coat. If you're doing things like deer or anything with antlers, I usually suggest doing probably like 3 or 4 coats, because it does give it a really good gloss and a really good shimmer. So especially on antlers, like on deer, I would usually only do 1 coat on the skull itself and like 3 coats on the antlers, just to give it that really nice pop, as well as cow horns. So like this guy behind me, like you can see the shine on those still, and I did him years ago now. So again, I am super excited that this guy is now on my desk. I mean, I'm not, I wish he was out in my pasture, but next best thing. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.